Right now, somewhere in America, a person is sitting in a dealership chair staring at a monthly payment that does not feel quite right. The car was advertised at $30,000. The number on the paperwork is closer to 35. The salesperson has gone quiet. The finance manager is tapping through screens. There is a service contract, a protection package, a documentation fee, a trade-in allowance, a rate that seems slightly higher than expected, and a monthly payment that somehow became the only number anyone wants to talk about. And here is the uncomfortable part. The buyer may think they are negotiating for a car, but the dealership is playing a different game, because the dealership is not only selling metal, wheels, and paint. It is selling money. It is routing loans. It is packaging risk. It is stacking products. It is chasing manufacturer targets. And it is protected by a legal structure that makes buying a car in America feel strangely unlike buying almost anything else. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York reported that U.S. auto loan balances reached about $1.685 trillion in the first quarter of 2026. That means the dealership is not just a retail store. It is one of the front doors into a massive consumer credit machine. Most people think dealers make money from the sticker price. That is partly true, but it is not the interesting part. Thinking a dealership is only in the car business is like thinking a casino is only in the hotel business. You are looking at the building, not the machine inside it. In the next few minutes, I am going to show you that machine. We will break it into 3 layers: finance, add-ons, and dealer incentives. Then I will show you the legal wall that keeps the whole structure standing, and by the end, you will understand why the most important sentence in a dealership is not "what is the price?" It is, "what are they trying to make invisible?" Let us begin with the most dangerous assumption in the dealership: the idea that the car is the main product. On the surface, the transaction looks simple. A dealer buys vehicles from a manufacturer, puts them on a lot, and sells them to customers for more than they paid. That is the old retail model. Buy low, sell high. Everyone understands it. But modern car retail is more complicated. New car margins can be pressured by competition, online price comparison, manufacturer pricing rules, inventory costs, and the simple fact that a shopper can check comparable vehicles in seconds. So the dealership needs other profit centers. That is where financing becomes powerful. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau describes the standard indirect auto lending structure like this. A dealership arranges financing through a third-party lender. The lender gives the dealer a rate it will accept. The dealer may then charge the consumer a higher rate, and the difference is called a dealer markup. In other words, the dealer can be compensated not only for selling the car, but for arranging the loan. This is why the finance conversation matters so much. If you walk in focused only on the sticker price, the dealership can move the profit somewhere else. It can give a little on the vehicle price and recover value in the rate, the term, the trade-in, or the products attached to the loan. Imagine a movie theater that barely cares about the ticket because it knows the popcorn is where the real margin lives. The ticket gets you inside. The concession stand is the profit architecture. In a dealership, the car gets you to the desk. The loan gets you into the machine. Let us use a clean example. Suppose you borrow $30,000 for 60 months. At 4% APR, the monthly payment is about $552. At 6% APR, the monthly payment is about $580. The difference sounds small in the room because it is only about $28 a month, but over 60 months, that is roughly $1,680 in additional payments. That is the genius of payment framing. A large number becomes a small monthly difference. The buyer does not feel like they are debating nearly $1,700. They feel like they are debating dinner for 2. This is why the first rule is simple. Never let the monthly payment become the negotiation. The monthly payment is not a price. It is a blended output created by price, down payment, trade-in, rate, loan term, taxes, fees, and add-ons. If you negotiate the output, the inputs can move against you. A dealership loves blended numbers because blended numbers hide accountability. A buyer sees one number. The dealer sees 6 levers. Now we reach the room where the deal often changes shape. The F&I office. F&I stands for finance and insurance. This is where the paperwork gets signed, but it is also where the dealership has one more chance to turn a sale into a portfolio of products. Extended service contracts, gap coverage, tire and wheel protection, paint protection, key replacement, maintenance plans, etching, appearance packages. These products are not automatically bad. Some customers may genuinely value some of them. The issue is not that add-ons exist. The issue is that they are often sold at the exact moment when the buyer is tired, emotionally committed, and close to finishing. That moment matters. The buyer has already imagined driving home. They have already accepted the car. They may have spent hours researching, test driving, waiting, and negotiating. At that point, the finance office is not entering a fresh conversation. It is entering a depleted one, and the profit pool can be large. Hague Partners reported that the average publicly owned dealership generated $2,505 in F&I gross profit profit per vehicle retailed in the first quarter of 2025, near historic highs. That figure is crucial because it shows why the back office is not an administrative detail. It is one of the dealership's most important profit engines. The Federal Trade Commission has also targeted the problem of unwanted or misrepresented add-ons. In one 2024 consumer alert, the FTC said many buyers at 3 Texas dealerships owned by Asbury Automotive reported add-ons being tacked onto contracts secretly or by being told the add-ons were required when they were not. That does not mean every dealer does this. It means regulators have seen enough of this pattern to treat it as a serious consumer protection issue. The psychological structure is elegant. The buyer believes the negotiation ended when they agreed on the car, but the dealership knows the transaction is not finished until the financing contract is complete. The buyer thinks they are in the paperwork phase. The dealership is still in the selling phase. That is why the second rule is this: separate the product decision from the paperwork decision. Before entering the F&I office, decide which products you would even consider, what they cost elsewhere, whether they are cancelable, and whether they are being financed into the loan. An add-on that looks like $30 a month can become much more expensive when financed over 5 or 6 years. Here is the deeper lesson. The dealership does not need every customer to say yes to everything. It only needs enough customers to say yes to enough products often enough. The machine is not built on one huge trick. It is built on small acceptances repeated across thousands of transactions. The third layer is less visible because the buyer is often not negotiating against the dealership's actual economic position. They are negotiating against an internal target system. Manufacturers want volume, market share, model mix, customer satisfaction scores, and inventory movement. Dealers want gross profit, financing penetration, service customers, and factory incentives. Somewhere between those objectives sits a complicated bonus structure. This is why the same dealership can behave very differently on different days of the month. On the 10th, the salesperson may seem immovable. On the 30th, the same car may suddenly become flexible. It is not necessarily because the vehicle changed in value. It may be because the dealership's incentive math changed. Think of it like a video game with hidden levels. Sell enough units, hit the right mix, reach a target, and the economics of the next deal can change. A dealership may accept a thinner margin on one vehicle if that sale helps unlock a broader incentive pool or clears a unit that is costing money to hold. The buyer sees one car. The dealership sees a board of inventory, aging units, floor plan cost, manufacturer programs, sales targets, finance penetration, and end-of-month pressure. That asymmetry is the game. This is why end-of-month negotiation advice exists, but it is often taught too simplistically. The point is not that the last day of the month is magically cheap. The point is that dealer incentives can create moments when the dealership's need is greater than yours. When that happens, the buyer gains leverage only if they are willing to walk away. The third rule is therefore brutal but effective. Your power is your ability to leave. If you need that exact car today, you are weak. If you have outside financing, multiple comparable vehicles, and no emotional attachment to one stock number, you are much stronger. The dealership wants to combine everything into one emotional moment. Your job is to turn it back into a spreadsheet. If this system is so complex, why does the buying process still feel so old-fashioned? Because complexity creates room for margin. Cox Automotive's 2024 car buyer journey research found that total car buying time remained high, with buyers spending 14 hours and 19 minutes overall on the process, and almost 3 hours with the dealership or seller where they purchased. Satisfaction has improved, especially for new vehicle buyers, but the process still consumes a remarkable amount of attention. This matters because attention is a financial resource. The longer a buyer sits in the process, the more likely they are to accept simplification. And the easiest simplification is the monthly payment. This is where the classic four-square worksheet becomes symbolic. The four-square method separates the deal into vehicle price, trade-in, down payment, and monthly payment. In theory, it organizes the negotiation. In practice, it can also let the dealer move money between boxes while keeping the buyer focused on the most emotionally tolerable number. A higher trade-in allowance may be offset by a higher sale price. A lower monthly payment may be created by extending the loan term. A discount may be recovered through add-ons. A rate may be presented as normal when outside financing would have been better. The buyer asks, "Did I get a good deal?" The machine answers, "Which part of the deal?" This is the heart of the episode. The dealership's advantage is not only knowledge, it is the ability to make the transaction multi-dimensional, while the buyer experiences it emotionally. You are not simply negotiating against a person. You are negotiating against a system designed to know more variables than you do. That is why the fourth rule is this: break the deal apart. Negotiate the vehicle price as if you were paying cash. Value your trade-in separately. Secure outside financing before you arrive. Treat every add-on as optional unless proven otherwise. Ask for the out-the-door price price in writing, then compare the entire contract against the numbers you agreed to. This is not modern or glamorous advice. It is old discipline, the kind your grandfather would respect. Read the contract, know your numbers, and be willing to walk. Now we arrive at the part that makes the dealership machine different from most retail machines: the legal structure around it. In many industries, if consumers hate the middleman, the manufacturer can try selling directly. We have seen this across computers, phones, software, eyewear, mattresses, and countless other categories. But cars are different because the franchise dealership model is protected by state laws. A U.S. Department of Justice Antitrust Division paper explains that state franchise laws have historically restricted direct manufacturer sales to consumers and required new cars to be sold through dealers in almost every state. The paper argues that removing these bans could allow manufacturers to reduce inventory and distribution costs by matching production more directly with consumer preferences. This does not mean dealerships provide no value. Historically, they solved real problems. Manufacturers needed local distribution, service networks, capital investment, and customer relationships across a huge country. The franchise system made sense in an era when information was local, inventory was physical, and after-sales service needed nearby infrastructure. But the internet changed the information layer. Consumers can compare prices, configure vehicles, read reviews, apply for financing, and search inventory without relying on a local salesperson as the gatekeeper. The old system still provides service and local presence, but its informational monopoly has weakened. The political machine around dealerships remains powerful. Open Secrets reports that the National Auto Dealers Association had $5.489 million in lobbying in 2024 and $6.484 million in 2023, along with more than $3.2 million in 2024 cycle contributions from its PAC, employees, members, and related individuals. Again, lobbying is legal. The point is not that lobbying automatically equals corruption. The point is that profitable systems tend to defend the rules that make them profitable. This is where the car dealership becomes a capital machine story. It is not just a business model. It is a negotiated settlement between manufacturers, dealers, lenders, regulators, and consumers. The system persists because many institutions benefit from its complexity. The buyer wants a car, the dealer wants gross profit, financing income, product penetration, factory incentives, trade-in spread, service retention, and legal protection. Those are not the same game. So what should the viewer actually do with this information? First, get pre-approved before you walk in. Not because you must use outside financing, but because outside financing gives you a reference point. If the dealer can beat it transparently, fine. If not, you know what the loan should cost. Second, ask for the out-the-door price, not the monthly payment. The out-the-door price includes vehicle price, taxes, fees, and required charges. It forces the deal into a number that can be compared. Third, separate the trade-in. Know its wholesale and retail range before the conversation. A generous trade-in number can be used to distract from an inflated sale price. Fourth, decide on add-ons before fatigue sets in. If you want a service contract, price it. If you want gap coverage, compare it. If you do not want a product, say no and check that it is not in the contract. Fifth, inspect the loan term. A lower monthly payment can hide a longer loan, more total interest, and a higher all-in cost. Monthly affordability is not the same as value. Sixth, keep walking power. The dealership's strongest tool is making the transaction feel scarce and urgent. Your strongest tool is the ability to leave without emotional damage. And finally, understand that none of this requires hating dealers. Some dealers are professional, transparent, and valuable. The point is bigger than individual character. Good people can still work inside machines that reward complexity. The viewer's job is not to accuse everyone. The viewer's job is to see the machine clearly. The next time you sit in that chair and someone asks, "What monthly payment are you trying to hit?" you will know what is happening. They are not just asking about your budget. They are asking which lever they are allowed to pull. So do not answer with a payment. Answer with structure. Tell them you want the out-the-door price first. Tell them financing is separate. Tell them the trade-in is separate. Tell them add-ons are optional. Tell them you will review the contract line by line. Because once the machine is visible, it becomes much harder for it to work on you. If this helped you see the dealership differently, watch this next episode where I break down another everyday money machine hiding in plain sight. And tell me in the comments, what is the strangest fee or add-on you have ever seen on a car contract? I read them, and the best ones may become the next investigation.